Could this be the tiniest oil filter for a motorcycle in the world? So today I'm going to do an oil change on my daughter's bike, and it's a Hyosung GV250 Aquila, 2013 model. This is it. Nice little 250 engine. She's quite short-legged, so it does her. It's a nice low seat. Actually, I could ride about in that. I have been riding about to warm it up before the oil change. She's a tidy wee bike, and a lot of people would look at it and think it's a bigger bike. I'll show you what I mean. I'll show you what it's like with me sitting on the bike. I'll give you. Here it is, 250. Not the biggest bike in the world, but look at that. It's actually not bad size. I had one a few years back, and I used to run about with it, a wee buzz around. Great bikes. Now, a lot of people look at it and they'll say, is it really a 250? Yep, it is. Anyway, they're cheap, but a bloody good quality. The only problem that people find with these is the electrics. The rectifier seems to go in them. And if you want to know how to change that, there's a previous video shows you how to change the rectifier. Anyway, let's give it a service. Well, let's give it an oil change, and I'll keep it going for another year. So here we go on the oil change. I'm going to show you. There's your oil cap. The first thing I want to do is take that off. There's a wee glass on the side here where you can check your oil, and it's got a low and high level. So if the oil's within that while the bike's sitting upright, you know your oil's okay. So we'll take this filler cap out so the oil can run out easy. In here, little 10mm bolts, 3 of them. Cover comes off, your oil filters in there, and underneath is your sump bolt, just here, and that's from memory 17mm. So anyway, I'll whip the sump bolt off, and we'll get the old dirty oil out of it. So with the oil cap off, first of all we'll slacken off our 17mm sump plug. Shouldn't be too tight. Get the oil pan under it. And there we go. I'll let the oil drain out, and I'll give the sump plug a clean up. It always pays as well, once it's stopped running, just hold the bike upright for a wee bit and let it drip, and then set it back on its side stand, just so as you get the dregs out the bottom. You don't have to, but it certainly makes the clean oil you put in it stay cleaner longer. Anyway, so I'll let that drain away, and then we'll tackle the oil filter. So the good thing about servicing the bike and sitting it on the side stand is the bike's lying over towards that way, so when you take the oil filter cover off, it's not going to run a lot of oil down the side of the engine and make a mess. So I'll take the cover off. 3 10mm nuts. Just like that. Now, we've got a wee bit of run, so I'll put that down here. And we'll take the cover off. There we go. So in the cover there's an oil seal to seal it. That seal's in good condition. It doesn't get, when it's clamped tight, it pushes against the rubber, but it's not like a screw in oil filter where it, you know, it can crumple the rubber up. This one just compresses it, so the same ring will last a long time, which is just as well because you don't get one in the kit. So the oil filter pulls out. A bit of a pair of pliers for this, I suppose, but however, I'm sure I can manage it. There we go. Now, is that the tiniest oil filter in the world? Yeah, bloody looks like it, doesn't it? Anyway, I'll set that on my oil tub and I'll just wipe out the dirty oil in here, like that. And clean up round about it. And my daughter will give me a row for getting her bike all dirty. There. And then we'll get the new oil filter. Unbelievable. So the hole goes to the back. This end's got a small pressure release valve, so if the pressure builds up, the oil can actually bypass the filter. But anyway, we put that in, push it in, get your cover, give it a clean, but don't clean, like don't clean the rubber ring, leave it sort of oily, and put it on the right way up, like that. See, there's a spring on there that holds it in, which is ideal. I'll pop screws on, and when you tighten it, I don't know what the torque settings are, but if you're nervous about it, you could use a torque wrench and find out what the settings are. I've been doing it that long now, eh? My hands and my arms are like a torque wrench. I can feel what pressure's what. So I never really use one, unless it's somebody else's bike and I don't want to bugger it up. So that's the oil filter in. Got a wee crank there until it stops cranking up. And then once it does it, just give it a wee, just enough to seal that rubber ring. Go around it again. Now a wee tip, it's when you're using a socket like this, instead of holding the handle and pressing it, because you can get a lot of leverage on it, grab it like this and you won't be able to put as much pressure on these nuts, and you'll feel when they're tight enough. Or at least that's how I do it. Everybody's got their own way. So that's the oil filter done. The oil stopped dripping, so I'll go and put the sump plug back in again. Just going to show you the air filter. The air filter's on this side panel here. You've got two screws, Phillips screwdriver, you take the screws out and this pulls off. Then you've got a cover in here. You just get the Phillips screwdriver and take 1, 2, 3 bolts out, and then you can see the air filter. We'll check this one over. It should be okay, but we'll check it just in case. So that's, I've just slackened these 3 screws, and this just pops off like that. And there's your air filter. It just pops out like that. And actually looking at it, a wee bit dirty. I'll probably order a new one just to be on the safe side, and that way I know it's been done. So yeah, so you just got the one air filter at this side and that's it. So I'll pop that back together again, and then we'll get the sump plug on and get the oil put back in. I'll just go and do that now. So that's sump plug in, the oil filter's changed over. Just need to put the oil in it now. This is the oil I'm putting in. It's Penrite, shear free, no loss, superior performance, 100% PEO ester, fully synthetic, factory racing. the fancy oil for a wee 250, but it's the right oil for it, 1040. So yeah, I'm going to put that in and see how it goes. Australian oil, this stuff, so always use your own stuff if possible. Better using Australian oil. Now this engine takes 1.5 litres, so it's easy enough. You put in one bottle, that's 1 litre, and half of the other bottle, and that's it, 1.5 litres. You don't have to check your oil level or anything like that. If you put in the right amount, you put in the right amount, end of story. But yeah, and I'll show you. So I'll get the oil put in, then I'll give the bike a quick check round. I've already done the chain, tightened it up a wee bit and everything for her, but I'll go around and do 1 or 2 other checks just to make sure everything's okay, and that should be it for its service. So I'll put the oil in. So this stuff is good stuff, and you've got a, Jesus, take this bit off the top, you've got a little pourer which is handy. You can pour your oil in without spilling. Anyway, I'll go and put the 1.5 litres in, and that'll be it done. So there we go. I've put the oil in, I've put the cap back on. We'll just start it up and make sure the oil goes out. So starting this thing up's quite easy. We'll set it up right. You got to pull in the clutch to do it, and then press the start button. Look at this wee bike's even got a fuel gauge, wee digital counter there, you got your rev counter. When my daughter was running it, one of the things she noticed was there's an F1 light here, it tells you if there's a problem with it. And it was on all the time. It should light up and then go out when you start the bike. It was on all the time, and that was a hint to say that the rectifier or something was wrong with the electrics, which it was. But as I say, I've got a previous video on the rectifier. But yeah, looking good and sounding good. So I'll switch that off now, and then we'll do a wee inspection of the engine oil. We'll just give it a minute to settle down, and it'll be perfect because I've put in 1.5 litres. Well, actually just a wee touch over 1.5 litres. I've got a habit of doing that. A little bit hubnut of me. Yeah, any of you watch Hubnut, Ian? It's really worthwhile watching this channel. You get a laugh. He loves his old cars and things like that. And he bought a Ford Falcon in Australia when he was over, or New Zealand I should say, and he took it back to the UK, so he runs about in that as well as his other cars. Anyway, if you get a chance to watch Hubnut, you get a good laugh at his channel. Anyway, so that's it done. There's the wee oily thingy. So I'll pull the bike straight up, and you'll see the oil level. There we go. And as you can see, it's right up at the top mark. So when you put the oil in, don't worry about checking the oil level. Put in what the book says, 1.5 litres, then run it, because it's got to fill up the engine, the oil channels, it's got to fill up the oil filter. Do all that, switch it off, leave it for a minute, and then check the oil. If you put in 1.5 litres, you've got it right. Maybe a wee bit less if you don't change the oil filter, but for the sake of a few bucks, I think you're foolish if you don't change the oil filter, especially with it being a paper thing. The other thing to do is, once you've done all that, just run your finger under here and look for any oil. See, it's bone dry. I didn't have to tighten that up too much. And the same with the sump. I can just touch the bolt under here, nice and dry. So there we go, successful oil change and filter change. The battery's all been done. I put in a new battery and a new rectifier. I checked the tyres over and did the tyre pressures the other day. The front's about 25 and the back's about 30 or 31. I've also done the brake pads. I don't know if you can see that. I've not changed them, but they look fine to me. There's plenty of wear. I took the caliper off just to have a look at them, front tyre's got a fair bit of wear left on. Back tyre, have a wee look. Got a wee bit of wear left. Back brake. There's a mark here from here to here. So when you press the brake pedal, that's it, off and on. It doesn't move much. So as long as the middle's up level with this bit, you're fine. When the middle starts to get over here, you know the brakes are worn and you need to put new shoes inside the hub. So that's okay. Shock absorbers are okay. As you can see, she's got to preload one because she's not very heavy. I've adjusted the chain and lubed it, so that's all good. So yeah, the only thing left to do now is take it for a wee jaunt around the housing estate, get the oil through it, bring it back, check it over, and that'll be it. So I'll take it for a wee run, see what she's like. Well, hey, for a 250, you'd be surprised at how well she runs. So I just took her around the block. I'll just hot, no oil leaks. No oil leaks. I'll tell you where they can be prone to leaking oil, or at least sweat and oil, is on these shafts down here. But if you go into Hyosung website, you can actually order just about every part of the bike. You could probably order every part of the bike to build one. So now it's sat for a minute. Let's have a check of the oil level now. I'll just pull her up right. There we go. And perfect. Should let her sit like that for a minute, but she's up to the full mark, so to me that's fine. So there you go, Hyosung GV250 Aquila. Oil filter done, everything's checked over, runs beautifully. I'm happy with that. I'm sure Jennifer will be happy with that as well. Yep, so that's it. I'll see you later. Bye.